Joining me now is Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Great to have you today because there's a lot going on that we want to ask you about. One of the things that the left is thinking of doing is basically keeping a lot of the programs that they want, but only funding them for 1 year. Do you think that that is good legislative tactics in order to get it passed, or really irresponsible?
Pretty irresponsible. I mean, obviously the Wall Street Journal figured out what the game is. The game is to shrink the cost, start a whole lot of programs, and claim that it doesn't really cost that much because they expire in a year or two. And the goal, of course, is that they all become so popular we get them forever. Look, this is just one more round of the kind of inflationary policies that they enacted earlier this year on a party line basis. They dumped almost $2 trillion on the economy, sent inflation through the roof, and they're not through. They want to keep on doing it with higher taxes and entitlement programs. What that means to your viewers is they never go away. You can make them look less expensive by saying that they're going to expire in a couple of years, but their gamble is that once they start, they never end. And of course, the deficit continues to mount.
And of course, we see that with Obamacare. And one of the things that they say is a must-do in this bill that they passed is additional subsidies for Obamacare. Of course, that passed a long time ago, and so that to your point. President Biden still says the bill won't cost anything. Watch here.
The cost of the Build Back Better bill in terms of adding to the deficit is zero, because we're going to pay for it all. In addition to that, half of it is a tax cut. It's not spending money, it's a tax cut for working class people.
But, sir, Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona made it very clear, this is reporting this morning, that she is not for any new taxes. So how will they make that math add up?
Well, I hope they don't. The American people would be a lot better off if this reckless tax and spending package never passed. They didn't get a mandate from the American people to do this. A 50-50 Senate, a couple of seat majority in the House. This is not like the vast majorities that Roosevelt had in the 30s or that Lyndon Johnson had in the 60s. American people didn't vote to turn this country into Bernie Sanders' socialist vision.
The other thing is that Tim Scott talked to us yesterday about this idea of pumping up the IRS to go after more people. Listen to what he said here about the Democrats changing it, but that it's still being a problem.
If you have an $800 a monthly payment for your rent, you have a $400 for food for the entire year, $10,000, you are now going to be audited potentially and certainly investigated your accounts by the IRS. But the truth is, every single working American will still be captured and their financial information would be transferred to the IRS.
What do you think of that provision?
He's exactly right. It's as if every single American was under audit every year. This is completely outrageous, a violation of privacy, and I hope in the end those advocating this will back away from it. I think the American people are going to go berserk over this.
One of the things that the left is, they're so mad at Senators Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. And this week, David Corn of Mother Jones said that he had impeccable sources that Senator Manchin is talking about going to switch parties and becoming a Republican. Senator Manchin says that that is ridiculous, but David Corn is standing by his story. I've asked you this before because it seems like this comes up every 3 to 4 months. Do you have any reason to believe that Joe Manchin would switch parties and become a Republican?
I don't, but it would solve the problem, because if I were the majority leader instead of Chuck Schumer, we wouldn't be doing this. The country does not need it, does not want it, and I wouldn't be putting this kind of package on the floor.
Well, so we'll see. He says it's not true. David Corn, again, standing by his sources. On the Democrat side of the other thing that they're trying to do over and over again is pass through their election law, the federalizing of elections. That didn't pass, but they're going to give it another shot. Where do you think it goes?
Well, I hope nowhere. It's against the law in America to discriminate against voters on the basis of race. The Voting Rights Act is still intact. What they're trying to do, Dana, is to have the federal government take over all of the ways that we do elections in this country, which are historically been administered at the state level. There's not a single state in America enacting new laws after the pandemic passed, trying to suppress the vote based upon race. If the Justice Department thinks any state is doing that, they can go to court. My prediction is they're going to lose. They're going to lose in Georgia. They're going to lose in Texas. Kentucky also passed a new law, supported mostly by Democrats, signed by a Democratic governor. And our law is arguably more restrictive than the Georgia law or the Texas law, but you don't hear anybody complaining about the Kentucky law because the Democratic governor signed it. This is a solution in search of a problem. Americans all over the country can easily vote right now.